today. In the past, we've had a DJ, which I know Catherine and Michael are familiar with DJ Argo. We thought within these times and the challenges that we're facing as a culture, as a society, Reverend Retta Morgan would be an incredible performer. She is gracing us with her spirituality, and she's local to Philadelphia. I am going to hand the stage over to her, and then I'll post her information in the chat. So while she's performing, you can read about her. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. And good afternoon, everyone. Such a pleasure to be here with you. So I'm going to do a little singing. I'm going to sing a chant I wrote maybe a couple of weeks ago. And after that, I'm going to do a wordless prayer. I am an interfaith minister, which means I honor all traditions. And so I'm going to sing sounds that are prayer. And the words will be the words that come to you, actually. So words or no words. So I invite you into the sound with me. And first the chant. We're gonna heal this land. We're gonna heal this land. We're gonna heal this land with the centering power of love. We're gonna heal our legacies. We're gonna heal our legacies. We're gonna heal our legacies with the centering power of love. We're gonna heal this nation. We're gonna heal this nation. We're gonna heal this nation with the centering power of love. We're gonna heal our neighborhoods. We're gonna heal our neighborhoods. We're gonna heal our neighborhoods with the centering power of love. Hey, we're gonna heal our families. We're gonna heal our families. We're gonna heal our families with the centering power of love. We're gonna heal our wounded hearts. We're gonna heal our wounded hearts. We're gonna heal our wounded hearts with the centering power of love. With the centering power of love. Oh, with the centering power of love.
Wow, that was beautiful.
Thank
you. We would love to hear another one. I see there's some claps happening. So you've got a little fan club going. That was really peaceful. Thank you. We would love to hear another one.
Sure. So I think maybe time to sing another song before the prayer, right?
Absolutely.
So also a song written for, I'm in community with a lot of young activists. So this song is written in support of some of the young people that I'm in community with. My heart is broken open. All kinds of love is spilling on out. My heart is broken open. All kinds of peace is spilling on out. Is spilling on out. Is spilling on out for you. My body's filled with sorrow. All kinds of pain is spilling on out. I'm holding space for your refuge. Hey, yeah. all kinds of grace is spilling on out, is spilling on out, is spilling on out for you. My mind's chatter won't let me go. All kinds of fear is spilling on out. Each breath returns me to my center. Hey, all kinds of healing is spilling on out, is spilling on out, is spilling on out for you. When will this all be over? Hey, yeah. All kinds of wondering is spilling on out. Till then it's life I'm trusting. Hey, yeah. All kinds of compassion is spilling on out, is spilling on out. Love flowing around, hey, spilling on out. Compassion flowing is spilling on out. Grace is growing every day, hey, spilling on out. Love flowing and spilling on out. Healing, healing, hey, love is flowing, hey, oh, is spilling on out for you, yeah, yeah.
I was not prepared to cry on Thursday afternoon.
It's not Thursday afternoon, it's Tuesday afternoon.
Is it only Tuesday?
Is it Tuesday?
It's only Tuesday.
It's only Tuesday.
It's only Tuesday.
That was really beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
And very applicable to the times that we are running through.
Yeah.
We have a few more minutes. If you'd like to do another one, I think everybody in the audience would love to hear it.
Thank you. Well, I think I'll do the wordless prayer, if that's okay. So just invite everyone to just join me and take the sounds in as you will.
It was beautiful. I was kind of letting that sink in a little bit.
I know.
I could listen to you all day
I know.
long. That is so beautiful.
Thank you. Very kind.
Reverend, would you like to just say a few words about yourself, and then if you want to do one more thing, perform one more time, and then we'll turn it over to Karen.
Okay. Well, I'll just say I am an interfaith minister, and it's my passion, my joy in life to sort of celebrate all the many ways that the divine has shown up around the planet throughout time. It's a fascinating kind of study, as well as a kind of practice, you know, to look for the threads that are similar in all the different traditions. All the traditions talk about love, forgiveness. You know, there are many threads that run through all the traditions, and I really enjoy and sort of champion the ways in which spirituality in general can support our lives, like whatever that looks like for each person. So I founded Ecclesia Spiritual Center, and we met for about 10 years, once a month, having an extraordinary time sharing spiritual practices, sharing wisdom, the perennial wisdoms from spiritual traditions from around the world. Lots of creativity, lots of singing, lots of poetry, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's the kind of work I do. And also along with that, quite a bit of the intersection of spirituality and activism, the kinds of ways that spirituality can show up that help us think well about changing the world, or finding ways to come together and keep talking across our differences to look for ways, hopefully innovative ways that can help us create changes so that, you know, we're working toward a just world, a world that works well for everyone. So it's a little bit about what I do. Yeah.
Thank you, Retta.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome.
Reverend Retta is actually a new friend of mine, and that's what these wonderful experiences have brought us together. In face of technology, actually, you know, you're able to have all these incredible new connections. And I want to thank Aurora Archer and Kelly from Opt-in for their event last week that enabled me to get to know the work of Retta. I know people are from around the world, but we are based here in Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. And the work that that Reverend Retta is doing here, and not only in Philadelphia, but mentoring and counseling activist leaders in our area and encouraging self-care. And we certainly need your work during this time. So I thank you for being a part of this for us.
So welcome. You're so welcome.
So, okay, so let's get this party started. Everybody, my name is Karen Copeland. I'm the CEO of CreateXChange. And I think, as a lot of you know, this virtual series came about when, you know, I was used to doing live events with global thought leaders in person. And so this gave us the opportunity to say, oh my gosh, I want to still connect with these amazing speakers like Adrienne and just bring them into this world and during this time when we could all certainly use this time to keep learning and connecting with each other. So we've been able to still bring these events together and foster these remote work environments. I think I know a lot of the people here really care a lot about our community and the culture of the jobs that we have or the communities that we're in. And so we've been able to do that, to continue to do this with these amazing people, again, like Adrienne. And I'm super innovative. I was a former industrial designer, but I love the fact that, hey, I can bring these incredible thought leaders into your companies and create these series and deliver books, you know, at the minimum of like 100 books, and to be able to deliver them, have people, you know, to send them to their houses. And so you're able to work virtually, which is so incredible. One thing I was laughing at Adrienne because, okay, can you see this with my screen? I had to go for the last month without actually a book, like a hard book, which tormented me. There are these things called net galleys, and I had to read all my books on PDFs, and I was like, oh. So I finally got a hardcover of her book, which is like super exciting. So anyway, so I want to keep it going, and I want to introduce Grace Migliaccio, who has been working with me. She's the one that said, oh my God, what are we gonna do? Let's do something, let's continue. And so we put our
Karen, we need you to unmute yourself. There we go.
Have I been unmuted? Have I been? No, seriously? Have I been?
No, it was just the last couple seconds.
Oh, for a hot
no worries.
Second.
For a hot second.
Like somebody shut me off. Like, stop it. So
nope, we were hanging on your every word. Keep going.
Yeah, you better be. Okay, so where's Grace? All right, Grace.
I'm here. Well, welcome everybody. Once again, we're really glad you're here. This is our 5th COVID era webinar that we come together, and as Karen was alluding to, what I normally would be doing if it weren't for COVID is I'd probably be out on the road somewhere delivering some kind of a training experience inside of a company for leaders or employees. That's what my normal life would be. And so when Karen and I came together in March and said, what can we do so that when people come out of whatever this is and however long it takes, people feel inspired and they feel that this time was a time for good. And we hope that this 5th session with you has made you feel like you got something that would spark something inside of you. And in fact, we've had a few attendees ask us, can you come and bring this work to our company so we can specifically have access to the author or the thought leader and make it relevant to our company or our situation. And so we have done that. And I mention it because if something today sparks you to say, we really need that in our organization, feel free to reach out to Karen or me and talk to us about how we can make it right for your specific organization. But what I really want to mention is I need you to be prepared for the breakout session today. Our topic today is going to be the superpower that is kindness. And so in the breakout, we're going to be asking you to share with your group, many of whom you may have never met before, an act of kindness that was bestowed upon you by someone else that's made such a difference. You can remember it today when I ask you to bring and recall that incident. So something powerful, something that made a huge difference that was because of someone else's kindness toward you. So start thinking about that before we get ready to break out. And Karen, I'll turn it back to you.
Stop muting me, Nellie. You know I don't like to be shut. I don't like anybody to try to shut me up. Don't try to shut me up.
Don't worry, I'm not playing with your mute button. Something is wrong with your mute button.
Anyway, I'm super excited to introduce you to Adrienne, because the funnest thing in this position is like we're curating around stuff that we love and we think is important to to us and hopefully to you. And Adrienne's brand new book is just incredible. And again, I've had the opportunity to own it and read it, and I hope that you buy it as well. We have a link, but Adrienne is a correspondent with, and she released her new book, Your Hidden Superpower, the kindness that makes you unbeatable at work and connects you with anybody. And it just came out on June 9th. She is an Emmy and Edward R. Murrow award-winning correspondent for ABC News and Good Morning America, World News Tonight, and Nightline. These are one of the things I love the most about Adrienne. She reported live. I mean, you're committed to the goal on your journey to change the face of television. I know you're passionate about financial literacy and teaching generosity to all ages, having partnered with a number of charities. And I love this. I want to steal this. You're a philanthropic engineer.
Yeah. And
you're designing new ways to meet needs and to make dreams come true that are worthwhile investments for community and corporate partners. And I love that so much, because this is our time to reinvent and reimagine what the world is going to be. So I just love that. So this is Adrienne.
Hi, everybody.
Come on.
I've heard Yo Adrienne my whole entire life since about 6th grade. So I love it.
Yeah, I love it. So again, I had the opportunity. I feel like all snobby when I got the opportunity to write a book ahead of time and know all that stuff. And you know what I think is so fascinating is one of the things that you were highlighting is one of the things in your book, and realizing you did not write this book. You did not know what was coming down the road when you wrote this book. And so when I found out about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's perfect. And this message is so perfect. And again, knowing what to do next when at a life or a career crossroads. So I want to go first to Kindness 2.0.
Yeah.
What does that really mean?
Well, it's kind of like, thinking about the systems update on our cell phone. I was thinking about how we needed to update our definition of what kindness means for identity and what it means as a superpower, because a lot of people still see kindness as a weakness or a softness that could be detrimental in some way, which is completely opposite of the truth. And to me, when we look at kindness as a means to re-educate ourselves or to delve deeper into who we really are, who other people are around us, to foster connection and to ultimately position us, it's a new way and a new perspective of looking at kindness. I mean, kindness really is like GPS. It helps you along the treasure map to find your gold at the end of the rainbow while helping other people find theirs at the same time. It opens doors of opportunity that you couldn't kick down, you couldn't knock down. It breaks down barriers. It's inclusive. It doesn't discriminate. I mean, really, it's a no-brainer in terms of how we can use corporate community partnerships to really foster a brand new world. And that's really what people are asking for now. They're demanding that we be kind under all the pressures of life in 2020 and beyond.
Right. I love that. I love that. I love that you talk a lot about of course, your coach and mentor, Bill Krause. And the funniest thing is, I love to say, how do people get through life without having a business or life coach? And the fact that he was the impetus for writing this book.
Yeah. He told me to write the book because I would never have chosen to write a book on kindness. I wanted to write a book on either child rearing or some type of biography. And he looked at me and said, Adrienne, you're too young to write a memoir. Like, write on kindness. You haven't lived long enough. And so I listened to him, and I realized it was his intentional coaching of kindness in me, but also my heart's desire, because I could see even as a young professional that we really don't know what people are going through, but it's up to us to ultimately change cultures within an organization. It's individuals who are willing to buy in to this infrastructure or culture of kindness so that we can further not only just our production goals, because really I think that kindness makes you innovative, and I can talk more about that, but also we are supposed, to whom much is given, much is required. We're called to be successful business people. We're destined for that. And with that comes a philanthropic or a charitable arm. And what better way to start that process, but by having kind people work for your organization.
So I love that. And I didn't, because we work in a lot of the innovation space, we're creatives, working a lot with creatives.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you connected the kindness with innovation. So Talk to us about that.
Well, I mean, you've heard people called a breath of fresh air, right?
Yeah.
Those are the warm, kind ones that you meet. It's like, God, you're such a breath of fresh air. You're so real. You're so refreshing. Well, in my own journeys in life, when I didn't know what to do for myself, I stopped and I realized I had a lot that I could offer other people in terms of answers, in terms of getting out of the box of their thinking to provide solutions. And so it was in being generous and kind to other people that helps me to get creative and innovate new ways to reach them. I mean, even in the light of this past few months in the pandemic, I was at home and it started to really affect me. I was getting overwhelmed with just the stress of not being around people and the stress of being around only the people at the grocery store or only the people in line at the post office who avoided eye contact, who didn't smile because they had a mask on, and who weren't necessarily friendly, but more fearful. And so I thought, what can I do? And so I had to become an innovator in kindness from my couch, from my apartment, so that I wouldn't go crazy. I think that kindness allows us to get very imaginative in terms of reaching others and providing them answers. It takes the focus off of us, and then we'll get our answers automatically because we're feeding others, we are giving to others. And it really is a problem-solving technique that I've used time and time again. I outline a couple of examples in the book.
And I love that because as doing the work that we're doing, and I know that you're interested in what, you know, Grace, I'm actually looking at your catwalk in front of the screen over there, Grace. So, and, you know, working with, you know, C-suite in these corporations around the country, those new communication tools that nobody was really prepared for, and that frustration, and how to work through that to be managing virtual teams.
Yeah, it's been, I think that one thing that I think will really be an indicator of people who are on the cutting edge. It won't just be the fact that they know how to use the technology. It'll be the fact that they know how to stay in connection with their teams. And here's one vital part of that. It's having compassion, because the fact is that some of your employees work alone, and there is an isolation that is still present, even though a lot of cities across the country are starting to reopen. There is a longing for being around coworkers and missing that office time, because we now know that we can work remotely. And I think companies that were slow to do telecommuting or work from home are now realizing it's possible, but you cannot take out the fact that we still need the socialization that a common workspace can bring. And so companies are going to have to be really compassionate about coming up with ways to keep their team together. And that might require outside meeting places, 6 feet apart picnic spaces, you know, things where you can actually still be underneath the protocols, but actually taking into consideration the conscience and the emotions of your employees will lead to more productive teams, and teams that are actually more unified despite the distance.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I'm part of a community, a co-working space, and it's so different now, because I think, like we talked about earlier, we were so used to the energy in a room, the energy that we all feel be connected in a room. There's a lot of people that have worked virtually for a long time, but people like us said, we're so connected. And that is how, and even the conversation we had earlier, it's like, how do you bring that energy? How do you bring that energy into a virtual conversation, a virtual meeting, you know, in every way? You're leading your teams, or, you know, I'm on board meetings. How do you convey that when we're so used to our physical presence in a room? How do you convey that in a technological way?
There are two things that I think are really vital, and because I've been doing a lot of virtual meetings and events, and one is honesty. You know, when I started mentoring a group of executives inside of Disney, I actually started off the whole talk in the height of the pandemic here in New York. We were the epicenter. We had the most cases in the country, and some people literally broke down in tears because they were emotionally feeling hopeless. And I felt like we shouldn't skate over those feelings, and we shouldn't ignore the fact that people were having this torment inside because they couldn't fix the problems that are some of the biggest our generation has ever seen. And so one thing that I've done is I've encouraged companies and teams to actually brainstorm ways that people can solve problems, just as a wild idea summit. You know, find out what your teams are compassionate about. Find out what your team's hearts are breaking for. Who are they noticing? It's kind of a way for you to actually allow for that honesty and bond without getting into everybody's personal business or emotional states. And yet at the same time being very, very clear that you do have something that's been bothering you, whether it's people in the hospital who died without a family member present, who had to pass away over FaceTime, or perhaps they're more concerned about the protesters and the health concerns there.
Right.
Seeing the rise or the spikes or the surge of different cities of coronavirus. There are different things that their hearts are breaking for. And rather than just thinking, oh, it's just too big, we can't face it, have a wild idea day, throw every idea against the wall. It'll be a nice team bonding opportunity. And it'll also possibly come up with a way that you guys can actually hone in on one particular thing that you can do to feel like you are activated and action itemed and not just sitting there and stewing in all of your emotions. Yeah. And then the other thing is to create safe spaces. The fact is that most employees don't feel safe. They don't know that they can express themselves honestly without any type of backlash. And so being honest and allowing people to feel that there is a space of trust, even at work, is so, so key. And even having quiet times together. Start your meetings and actually initiate 5 minutes of quiet. We had 5 minutes of beautiful music with the Reverend there, or maybe 10 or 15. But, why not start a meeting off and say, we're going to just have some meditative breathing. It doesn't have to be a deep meditation. It can just be deep breathing with gratitude and intention. And then the other thing you can do is just preview or share your screen of a video of kindness and start the meeting off with kindness. It actually makes people stop thinking about negativity and immediately think about positivity and when people have been kind to them.
Because it's so much, it's like switching that mindset, that go-to where we're all afraid, we're all super afraid, businesses have changed considerably. And you know what I love that, we all talk so much about social media, Adrienne, and that when you said using it in a positive way, a really positive way. And especially someone like you is so well known, you're so well known, and that's so much a part of your life. But talk to me a little bit about how kindness relates to a lot of what you're doing on social media.
Well, it's been so interesting. It was actually a blogger in Dallas who helped me see that I would often use social media as my conduit to actually make real life connections in real life, IRL connections. And so people would direct message me on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. And then I ended up quietly mentoring them behind the scenes or giving them advice, or then I would schedule a time to email and then we'd exchange phone numbers, but it would be a progressive relationship. I think one of two things happen with social media. One, you forget that virtual reality or online reality is real as us sitting in the same room together. It is not an alternative universe. And so people need to start treating social media like that first handshake in an elevator or at a mixer, and not like some place where there's no, it's like this fourth wall that makes us get really emboldened to say things we would never tell to somebody's face. And so I think that we have to start seeing social media as that initial first impression, and you actually care about your first impression. It's just that those words on the screen now have to be more real as they are in IRL. And then the second thing is to allow the relationship to develop organically and not to just, okay, well, here's my phone number. You don't really know that person. You haven't vetted them. And it doesn't mean you become distrusting. Use it as a tool that's safe, but always treat direct messages as if they are public messages, because anything can be screenshot. So just be really wise about what you're saying in those direct message environments. I think that it can be extremely useful in making new connections. I think it's not taboo anymore. Obviously people online date, they online Bumble their friends now. And it's like, let's use it for the tool that it can be, but to remember to be wise while we do.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love that. I love that. As I was telling you earlier, Adrienne, so much of these events right now for us are the opportunity for the people in the room to be able to communicate with you and to ask questions. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to do breakouts, as Grace was saying, and then we all want you to come back, and then you'll put some of your ideas or questions, and then we're going to call on you and spend a lot of our time actually for you asking questions to Adrienne. So we will call on you. I will not, we'll look at them on chat, but we will call them, but you will be the one physically asking the question, not me, you. So turn your screens on. And so Nellie, I guess you're gonna Zoom everybody away in their little breakout rooms. Don't go away, everybody. You need to go to the bathroom or get some drink. Do that, and then we'll come back, and then we'll do a lot of the questions, which is always super, super fun.
I look forward to it.
You all have been assigned to your random breakout rooms. We are really thinking about a time where kindness impacted either your career, your life, and sharing that with the group. This is a networking time as well as a get to know you time. After the breakout, we'll also be doing the question and answer session. So just to reiterate what the breakouts are for, I will be sending you to them now. So please don't feel like this is a little bit of abrupt transition. So I'm giving you a warning. So we'll be back soon. We're not on mute, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Someone's at the beach.
Oh, me?
Whoa, lots of people are at the beach. Amy, you're at the beach. Where are you? You're not at the beach.
Just a fantastic.
She just has a beach background on.
I went to Hawaii and I wish I was there again. That's all.
She used to be. Sorry, Michael, we lost. You went missing in our thing. I don't know where you went. Did we offend you? Like, what happened?
No, I actually ended up getting sucked into Charmaine's room, and then I got kicked out again. And I know
that was me. I gave you no warning. I just moved you.
Every time I was talking too, it's just like you muted Karen. It's ridiculous.
I'm just picking on you because
it was kind of funny because he was mid sentence and expressing it, a very poignant point, and all of a sudden we're like,
well, he just started talking for us, and it was like, hi.
We were waiting with bated breath.
Nellie's playing games here. Nellie's just like the puppet.
It's a lot of power. No, I'm just joking. I don't know.
I
think I probably hit the wrong button.
I'm the one who should take all the blames. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It happened again. It happened again in Charmaine's room with I was talking again, and boom, I got kicked over to Grace's room. So
I think your fabulousness, we just wanted to spread you around, Hi, Suzanne. Hi, Suzanne. There's Catherine. Hi, Catherine.
Right.
Everybody's coming back.
It takes a little while for everybody to get back.
I know, everybody to get back from their,
Now, where, Adrienne, do we have you? Where are you?
I don't see her at the moment.
I think Adrienne disappeared.
Green room by chance?
Is she in the green room? She is not in the green room.
I got nothing.
What did you do with her? Hi, Aurora.
I promise I didn't do anything.
Jennifer. Hi, Amy. And Ray. Hi,
Ray. Karen, would you mind reaching out to
Adrienne
to make sure she's all right and we didn't lose her in the
Oh my God, hold on. Let me just
world of. So how did since we're waiting for Adrienne, how did your breakout sessions go? Does anybody want to share? Sheila Hess, you always want to share.
I do, but that's why I'm not, because I want everybody else to share this part.
What was your story about kindness? You give a lot of kindness, so I'd like to hear a time where you received kindness.
Actually, I didn't speak during our session. It was an opportunity to learn to listen, right? That's our whole thing this time, listening.
Yeah.
But I have so many stories about the acts of kindness that have really impacted me, but we didn't get to talk about it. So I would love to hear the others who did share it. So
yeah, that would be great.
What did we do with Adrienne? Okay.
Just gonna mute Karen while she figures that out.
Where did Nellie put her?
I promise that there is like a little Zoom monster in here because I promise that I did not do anything. So who would like to share? Catherine, were you waving? Would you like to share?
I was not, but I will. I had shared in my group, so I started freelancing 6 to 8 months ago, and when I decided, or like even before I decided to make that shift, someone that is in a similar industry would probably be considered a competitor because we run in the same circles, we know the same people, do the same type of work, and I had known her loosely over the years. had reached out to me and just became like an amazing mentor and really like supported me. Like her business is doing great, so she was passing me either smaller clients she was trying to offload or new stuff that was coming in that she didn't have capacity for. And it was just, we've become super close and great friends, and we're both in event planning and marketing. So especially COVID time has been great to have her to kind of like commiserate, and you know, it's a tough time for event planners, but just amazing because it was someone that, you know, again, we would probably be potentially fighting for similar projects. So the fact that she really went out of her way to support me and become just like a resource for me to tap into it for questions, and even filtered me clients, was just amazing. And I will value her for the rest of my life.
That's great. I think anyone that has gone out on their own in any capacity has a ton of stories of kindness and sisterhood or brotherhood, particularly in Philadelphia. For those of you who are from Philadelphia, you know, it gets a bad rap, but it's an incredible city with people who just want you to succeed. And if that hasn't been your experience, reach out to us because we need to change it. Would someone else like to share their story of kindness, or what nominate somebody in their group that had a really good story that isn't speaking up?
Excuse me 1 second, Nellie. You're going to have to talk to Adrienne. She's having a hard time logging back in again.
Okay.
Let me take over and...
Oh, I might, hold on, I'm going to try this. I think if I use the meeting ID, we're going to be fine.
Oh, the meeting ID. Just use the meeting ID. Okay. All right. Hold on.
I'm coming.
Okay. Try the meeting ID.
I just did, and then it's sending me to the screen again. Hopefully, you guys have like heightened security or something. Oh my gosh. Come on, baby.
Okay.
I put the meeting ID in, and then it goes to the login page.
Yep.
Hopefully you can talk to all the people.
Okay. So again, would love to hear from someone as we figure that out. We're kind of doing our networking backwards, so stick with us. But is there someone that wants to share? Because we would love to hear it.
I'd love to hear a story of someone who had an act of kindness from a total stranger.
How about Brad?
All right, I'll share a kindness, and I'll share one from a stranger. I was extremely close with my grandfather, and I mean, we talked on the phone every night, always saw each other. He was my role model, and when he died, the guy from the pizza restaurant made it a point to find me and tell me that my grandfather, when he came in, would always ask about his kids and was the only customer who knew his kids, his grandkids, who would clean up stuff on his way out and would never accept free pizza from them. And it just meant so much for me to hear that. And our son is named after my grandfather, and to be able to share that story with him. And ever since then, anytime I hear of someone who passes, I try to think of anecdotes that I can share with their loved ones, because it was just so appreciated to hear that.
That was great. Thanks. Hey, Brian, are you still on? Did we lose Brian? Oh, there you are. Brian, would you talk about the random acts of kindness?
Sure. When I first started dating my wife, she introduced me to a term called a prac, practicing a random act of kindness. And it can be simple things as, you know, sending a note when somebody's on your mind, or somebody does something nice for you, picking up a piece of trash when nobody's looking. You know, when I'm reflecting on this too, I think the simplest acts of kindness have been no cost when you introduce somebody that connects, and all of a sudden you introduce new best friends. But anyway, 17 years later, we still do practicing random acts of kindness, and it's helped my social life, it's helped my business life. And it's just kind of one of those things, when you get one, you recognize it immediately and appreciate it.
It's like a gift that keeps on giving.
Yes, you
The
give
more
and
you, the more you do it, the more you want to do it.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not looking for anything in return.
Yeah.
Brian, do you carve out time, like I'm going to do from 2 to 3 on Fridays, pracs, or do you just think of it on your way home and do it when you think of it?
I do it when I haven't done it in a while and I need to do a couple, right? So there's no rhyme or reason, but it's just, I think the other pieces is just this like mentoring people. So that, like, I think of one person in particular who had no business doing anything nice for me and did a bunch. And I think a lot of my social and business network here in Northern California is from one person, Deke. And so when I think about Deke, like Father's Day come up and you think about, okay, who do you aspire to be? The funny joke is I told his son one day, I said, your dad was so amazing. I hope that I get compared to him one day. And Chris, without skipping a beat, said, Brian, don't worry, that'll never happen. He was amazing. So.
Anyone else want to share a story or didn't get to share their story and would like to now?
I want to share a friend of mine, his story. A good friend of mine, he was married, and his wife died a couple years ago, and his wife was very upset about some of this in like 2016, 17, with a lot of the hate comments politically, and she didn't like the people being unkind. So anyway, she knew well in advance of her death. It was, and she planned everything out, but she would tell her 2 teenage boys to always be kind. And so when at the funeral, it was kind of strange, but it's they gave out the boys got these polished rocks, and they were telling a story, and they wrote "Be kind" on these rocks. You can't see it real well on the thing, but it's a rock. And it's just they wrote in green paint, "Be kind." They gave it to everybody, and so I just keep it at my desk all the time, and it's a reminder just to be kind all the time. And so when I saw the topic of this event, it was easy to sign on to. But yeah, it was that's the rock.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and the county of Lehigh liked it so much, the commissioners brought the boys to one of their meetings, and they set up a scholarship for this one woman who worked at Lehigh County, and I thought that was pretty cool of the county.
So I live in a little town, or next to a little town that I walk in a lot, and somebody in the town, and to this day nobody knows who it is, leaves little rocks on people's doorsteps that have sunshines on them or flowers on them or a few words like "be kind" or "fearless" or some word on there. And so the town is like, and people leave them on their front porches, so yeah, they're badges of honor that they were left a rock. Yeah.
Okay, is Adrienne here? I see you.
She's on the phone.
Yay, here we are.
All right, we got her back on the phone.
Yay! I am so sorry, everyone. I promise. I'm not playing tricks. I promise.
It's all good. Everything's forgiven in this new brave new world we live in. So
oh my God, the technology, right? The technology stuff. Thank goodness. Hey, so I think let's just start with, I know a lot of you want to ask questions, so let's just go right to the asking Adrienne questions part.
So just unmute yourself and hop in.
Or
Adrienne, I have a question. I am a reporter in Huntsville, Alabama, and I guess when you're coming into this news world, you're always taught like be a good newsroom citizen. So, you know, at any workplace, like be a good person, always go out of your way to help other people, be that person that people want to be around. But I feel like during COVID-19, when we're half reporting from home, half out in the field, and there's always technical difficulties, it's hard to do those kind of things to people. And so everything gets a lot more stressful when you're only communicating via email or via, you know, like a group chat. So how, I mean, that's been a struggle for me. How would you suggest to overcome something like that?
So are you asking how can you be kind even with technical problems?
Yeah, like other than reaching out and sending nice messages, but I mean, it's so stressful when in our jobs, everything goes wrong technically. And I feel like when you're not having face-to-face communication like that, it seems difficult to connect with people.
So here's what I would say. I would look at it not as a situation where you are in a terrible bind, but I would just see yourself as being so excellent, so strong that you're being put through a gauntlet, because it's not going to get any better in terms of you're going to always be tested. Even if the technology advances and it's perfect, you're going to still have a different kind of pressure to perform. I mean, it only increases the bigger audiences that you reach, right? Like you're in Huntsville, Alabama. I don't know what that DMA is, but I know like
79.
in Sacramento, 79. Okay.
Yeah.
So starting off in Sacramento with 1 million viewers and then moving to Dallas with 5 million viewers and then moving to LA with 13 million, like, you know, you're constantly, the pressure is on because more people can see you. So even though you might have better gifts or you might have more talent or you might have better producers, you're still being pressured to perform in seconds and not to have a hot mic moment and not to go off on somebody and not to get frustrated. So the number one thing I would see you as giving yourself that pep talk every morning and reminding yourself how good you are, that you have to go through this gauntlet so that you're prepared for your future. This is like your boot camp. This is your Navy SEAL training. And so seeing it in that light, you know, this is your cross training so that you can be more successful in the future. The second thing I would say is send people selfie videos of appreciation. So a lot of times, like all we do is send text and email and it becomes very impersonal, but it's so cool to pick up the phone and get a phone call. But a lot of times people are too busy. Yeah. So freeze frame your phone, like smile, and then press record and say, hey, I just want to tell you, I know we had a lot going on in that last shot, but I appreciate you and your patience and your calm, or I appreciate you for troubleshooting with me. And you're a rock star and I can't wait to see your face in person. Bye. Send a 10-second video. And just always keeping conscious of the fact that people respond to faces and they always respond to appreciation. You become the appreciation ambassador. Even if things go wrong, you're bringing calm to the situation will keep you set apart your entire career. People will always remember you for that.
That was great advice. Thanks. I love the selfie video idea.
Yeah, it's 10 seconds of your life and it can change somebody's day.
Yeah. That's great.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, who's next?
I know Jennifer Lynn Robinson has a question.
Hi, Jennifer Lynn Robinson.
Hi. Adrienne was actually in our chat room, our separate room, so it was nice to talk with her. You know, I think for me, I generally think of myself as a very positive and resilient person. And I think for the first couple of months of quarantine, I was doing great. I was like motivating people and productive and, you know, positive. We don't, you know, the gift of time and all of this. And I've been really struggling the last couple of weeks. You know, in all honesty, I know I'm not the only one. Like I've definitely heard that from other people. So I guess, you know, as you said earlier, we're not going to go back to the old normal. There's, you know, people hate this term new normal, but I mean, you know, now we're in even weirder new normal where it's like things are sort of open, but we're still under quarantine and there's still no, you know, vaccination or whatever. So I guess what I'm trying to say is like, how do you keep going? How do you know, I feel like on a local level, I don't mean to sound egotistical or whatever, but I mean, just within my community, people definitely look to me for positivity and I want to be that, but I also want to be honest and I'm struggling.
Yeah.
Okay. So Jennifer, I have a question for you. Do you have a morning routine?
I used to have a morning routine of going to boxing class and I haven't been doing that. And that was kind of my mental outlet.
Yeah.
So what's your mental outlet now?
I really don't. I get up and I have my La Colombe iced coffee and I watch GMA and then I start working.
I'm not going to ever argue with that, but I think what I would say, one of the things that you probably in your mind, being a leader, being somebody who's very proactive and optimistic, thought this would probably be over in 90 days. And so inside of us, we have this internal clock. You know how you have the biological clock as women? And I think men have a biological clock too, honestly. But speaking about like the fact that a lot of us have set a timer inside of ourselves so that we would anticipate what was going to happen when. And so it's important for you to reset your own clock, you know, accept the fact that there are things that are beyond your control. And one way to reset it is to return to some sense of morning routine. You're not feeding yourself and fueling yourself enough to be able to fuel other people at this point. You've depleted yourself because you got off of your mental health or your physical outlet. So you need to find some other way to do that. Have 15 minutes of meditation, breathing, prayer, reading, go on a jog, give yourself command over 1 hour of your day that is just for you, unplugged, so that you'll be able to take care of yourself better and take care of others. Because if you don't take care of yourself, you'll take it out on others. That's what I say. Right. So remember to be kind and empathetic first to yourself so that you have what you need to be ready for other people.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Adrienne, you were when we were prepping, you were talking about the difference between kindness and being nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Yeah.
So a lot of people use these words interchangeably, and a lot of people, I think that kindness is basic or weak because they've seen a lot of nice people in their life and they mistake them for kind people. I don't have a negative connotation for niceness. I just think that nice is something we need to graduate from and graduate to kindness. Nice is very polite. Nice is very precise. Nice is what you are when you're about 22 years old and you go into any industry and you don't want to make enemies and you want everybody to like you. And so you're very, very polite and you smile at everyone and you try to avoid conflict. Polite is great. I'm all about etiquette, but when you're kind, genuine kindness can't be faked, can't be feigned. You are more situationally aware. You embrace the whole person, which I think that every corporation needs to do more effectively, is embrace the holistic success of a person, not just in that position, not just with that title, but how are they doing with the level of stress at home, working from home with maybe kids in school, virtual classes, and couple that with maybe taking care of an older parent. Like really being invested in the whole person is kind. Yeah. If you're nice, you say hello to them in the hallway, or you send them an email and the first thing you say is good morning before you give them the laundry list of things they need to do. But you're never really concerned truly with that person and connecting with them. So I think that the difference is nice is a hello in the hallway and kind is a full embrace of that individual.
Yeah. Super great. Come on, Shermana.
She had a nice comment, actually. She had a sweet comment.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Here's my question. In your introduction, you talked a little about, or maybe Karen did, about your role in trying to bring together organizations and businesses.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering how kindness factors into that relationship.
Yeah.
Well, for one thing, that when you are kind, you're thinking and engineering different ideas. I mean, like I said earlier about kindness being a breath of fresh air, we have to start getting creative about how we want to reach communities. A lot of people are doing things because they know they should. You know, they are, oh, hold on one second. I hope I didn't lose you guys. I apologize. They are making donations. They are giving to certain organizations, social justice organizations. It's really important to go with compassion from your heart, which will lead to an authentic expression of kindness. I think that a lot of times corporations do what they think they should do, but there's not as much heart behind it. And in surveying your teams and finding out what they have a passion for, I mean, one of the things that I say is that teams should be kind to their managers. And finding out what their managers are going through and finding out what they could do to be a problem solver for their managers. That it's a two-way street. And so, but when you actually survey your corporation or your company and find out what your team is interested in, then you can actually serve the community with a wholehearted kindness versus an obligatory giving.
It's great advice. Thank you.
I think I'm getting questions and I apologize. I'm not seeing the chat. Hold on.
So we have, how can you be kind and still have boundaries?
Yeah.
Well,
right.
And a lot of people, a lot of people think that when you're kind, you're either a doormat or you're giving to everybody, a blanket giving without receiving. The thing is that when you're kind, you actually have a higher anticipation or expectation of people being kind to you as well. You know, kindness is not just giving, kindness is receiving. I've had so many people from the beginning of my career actually come to my station, wherever I worked or my network, and give me jewelry Now, it was usually like something like a husband would come with his wife and he handmade me a pair of earrings and included a card saying if they ever broke, he'd repair them. A woman came by, her mother died, and she had costume jewelry, and she said, I really think this will look beautiful on you. I mean, how do you tell a woman like that no? Mm-hmm. And so it was in receiving their gifts. The gentleman who did wardrobe for us, and he still does, and I'm just not there in the studio, Joe on Weekend Good Morning America would hand make me jewelry from beads for my birthday or for Christmas. And it was just like, wow, like these gentle, sweet gifts were a part of the kindness. If I don't receive, then that's not giving them the chance to show that they have something to give. And so you can have boundaries by the first thing I say is be sure that you're willing to receive kindness. A lot of people think that being kind means you're doing for other people, but they're not ready to receive it back. And so there's constantly a depletion because you cannot give what you don't have. The other thing is it will shine a light on you. It will make you stand out. Are you prepared for that? Because eventually good things come to you. It's more than what goes around comes around. So there's a balance in kindness that I think we need to recognize that good things will happen for you and it is possible to have your cake and eat it too. And the other thing is being kind is sometimes saying no. It's okay when you know your players that you're maybe not supposed to have a one-on-one conversation with somebody who has challenged you in the past, whether because of baggage from their past job or past experience or because of baggage between the two of you. And so you may be kind enough to yourself and the conversation to have a third person have a witness in the room. Kindness is being situationally aware. So you will have a better instinct. I say that kindness is a sixth sense intuition because you follow warm impulses to help people, to give to others. You use your conscience for other people's benefit. It actually hones your ability to listen to your conscience for yourself. And so you'll know what's right now.
So beyond the workplace, partially because
I'm still here.
Partially because within this time, yes, coronavirus, but thinking about equality, justice, we're really facing, I think, as a society, some real foundational foundation cracking issues, which regardless of whatever your affiliation or direction is philosophically about that, like there is not a ton of kindness happening because there's a bit of a philosophy that kindness doesn't work in expelling racism, in expelling these systems that are oppressive to people that are non-white and non-male. So I hear what you're saying, and I think at work it makes sense, but in our daily lives and when we're as a community member being asked to really shake the foundation of history, what is your perspective and kind of what's going on currently in our culture, in our society related to kindness?
Oh, she's muted.
Oh, you're muted.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
You can hear me now, right? I apologize.
Yeah.
Again, on the phone, working it out. I think that we really need to look at where we are doing things right. While we, in any problem, whether endemic or systemic or anything, the people on our teams, the people in our communities, the people in our families, let's just take our individual families who have various conversations and disagree on certain things, right? Mm-hmm. You can sit around a dinner table and have 15 people and it's Thanksgiving and you are not all on the same page. All right. And it is sometimes kind. I mean, there were times when growing up, my grandmother would say something and I knew it was not really worth it to sit there and debate with her. And the kind thing was to allow her to think what she believed and allow me to just respectfully listen and to know where she stood so that I'd be better able to communicate with her in the future. The fact is you cannot control what people think about you. You can't. It's impossible. And when it comes to making changes, I think that it's really, really vital where we do point out where people are doing things well. The truth is there are people who are still being kind in spite of crisis. There's people who are still being kind while they are challenging some of these things that, people are pushing for in terms of change. But I would rather center on those unifying things. Kindness does not discriminate. Kindness is inclusive. And so to me, it's a perfect jump off for change. because it brings us united under one thing that we're all asking for. And we're all asking for corporations, organizations, institutions to be kinder to all people. We really are.
Yep. Yep.
I have a quote. This is what Shaman Hussein said. I have a quote from Mother
Yes.
Teresa, who wrote to me once, "If people cheat us, God will not cheat us, and we are doing it for God that helped me do good deeds without any expectations." See, the thing is, one thing I read about in the book, and it's not, again, kindness for me is not a Band-Aid to the problems that we're facing. Kindness keeps my head in the game, because I can get overwhelmed or go numb or go into shock based on all the things that I'm seeing that I can't fix myself, that will take time to fix. You know, there are things that are happening right now that seem like they're happening very swiftly, but the truth is, to turn a ship, it takes time. It takes a little tugboat to pull it out from the dock, and it takes time to build that momentum. But once it's out there in open waters and setting sail, like, you can go in a certain direction, or you can change directions. And so for me, keeping kindness at the center has kept my focus and kept my head in the game at a time when I could have felt frustrated. I could have been raging. I could have, but you as a creative, and I speak to people on the line that are creative, you paint differently when you're angry. You paint differently when you're sad. You paint differently when you're happy and you're rejoicing. But when you are kind, you're able to have that breath of fresh air come in again, clear the air, and allow you to take that breath and to think innovatively and to become a problem solver. That's what I want to be. I want to be a problem solver. I want to be somebody's answer. And when we all can sit here and say, I am someone's answer, that is a powerful force. When I can sit here and say, I'm with you, that is a powerful force. People feel that. You cannot fake the funk. When they know you are with them, when you are partnering with them, that you care. Lady Gaga, when a lot of this stuff was going down, she posted just, I love you. And that was so unifying. She wasn't making a new bill. She was not, she wasn't doing anything but saying, I love you.
Yeah.
And so I don't ever make it some blanket answer. It's going to be different for every organization and every corporation and every individual, but staying on the kindness tip actually puts us in some way, even though we have difference of opinion or difference of approaches or different perspectives because of what is going on and what has gone on for many, many years, we can all unite under kindness and let that be the place where we jump to compassion and change and, again, solutions.
Yeah. So does anybody, there's one last question we have, anybody?
I have a question.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if you might talk about some of the health benefits of kindness, especially in light of the amount of stress a lot of us are holding in terms of the things that are going on.
Yeah, that's a great one, Rev.
Yeah, Lori, and thank you. I saw your message about Dan Harris and 10% Happier. Yeah, I worked with him on the anchor desk at Weekend Good Morning America, and he's a sweet person. So in my book, I don't specifically talk about exact health effects, except for I talk about this, that loneliness is an epidemic. And isolation can happen when you're in a house full of people, especially in light of the stress that we've had so far. Fear can create a feeling of isolation. My mother used to tell me when I was younger, Adrienne, you can feel alone in the middle of a crowd. And so it's really important that we use kindness as a tool to bring people out of feeling that loneliness, feeling that alone. But I did research, Cedars-Sinai did a great study and just showed some of the health benefits that doing a kind act is actually akin to a runner's high in terms of the chemicals that actually change in your body.
That's incredible,
It's amazing. And this is what they said in every study that I found, because I think Harvard did another study, is that it's prolonged, consistent kindness that gives you the greatest benefit. A lot of people are like, well, if you schedule kindness, then it's not spontaneous, then it's not genuine. No, I'm scheduling kindness just like I schedule fitness. If I randomly jump on the treadmill, I will have random results. So if you have random acts of kindness, you will have a very good result for that one moment. But what if you could duplicate and multiply that moment every single day? And that consistent kindness actually allows you to tap into a feeling similar to a runner's high. It actually reduces stress. It builds your immune system. And the truth is, we need people who can be clear-headed. Mental health is such a big part of this conversation, to make sure that we are mentally, emotionally, physiologically, psychologically prepared to be the answer that the world is asking for. We're all being asked to be superheroes right now. We're all being asked to defy gravity right now. And I found that kindness is a great way to do that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Adrienne. And I wanted to thank everybody too for staying on a bit longer, because we had some technological difficulties. But
oh my gosh!
I wanted to thank all of you for being here, and we want to hear from you. Ideas about programming or anything you have. Thank you so much, because it's really important that if you're seeing things or want to be talking about super discussions, we would love that. I also want to, I hope you can see this. Oh, can you see this? Oh my gosh.
I can't see anything.
Okay, you can't see this? No, not that one, Olivia. Okay, this is our next speaker, Be Fearless, and this girl is amazing. I shared that with you, Adrienne.
Oh, good. Thank you.
A middle grade memoir from 14-year-old lemonade entrepreneur and Shark Tank contestant, and one of Time Magazine's top 30 most influential teens. And it's called Be Fearless, Dream Like a Kid.
And we'd love for you to bring your kids to that one.
That's a good one,
a full
Nellie.
family,
right?
If you have kids or nieces or nephews or cats or dogs, whatever.
And we'll follow up. We'll follow up. But she we're just, you know, she is amazing. And look, she's a 14-year-old girl that's done amazing stuff. So we'll give you all that follow-up information. But thank you so much to everybody, and thank you for your patience in our technological stuff. And until next time, jazz hands.
Do I stay? Karen, do I stay on this?
You just stay on.
Yep. Our VIPs, please stay on. We're going to be transitioning you to another room.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Yeah, it was a pleasure meeting you.